FreeMe TV, man, what's going on? Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. So this episode here, Prisoner of Love. First 3 episodes dropped on the market. So if you haven't watched them yet, catch up with them, Discovery Plus. And what I'm doing is going to break these episodes down to you, give you the skinny on what's real, what's not, give you my perspective on how I feel about this show. Now, you know, here on FreeMe TV, we're all about erasing stigma. So it's very important to me is not to profit off prisoners, not to market off prisoners, but to try to erase stigma. I really feel like this show has very good possibilities in doing just that. So make sure that you hit the like, make sure you hit the subscribe, make sure you tune in, and make sure you catch what the real skinny is. Prisoner of Love. Okay, so I will say the intro is pretty live, man. I do like the intro. I do like the editing on the intro. It's well. It's done well. And in the beginning, we meet Chelsea, right? And who Chelsea is and what Chelsea does. And of course, Chelsea's relationship with Mr. Manuel, okay? And all the little mushy stuff there in the beginning and all that crap. Chelsea goes on to explain about her matchmaking service, what she, how she came upon it, and what she does with it, the opportunities she sees from it, and essentially that's what the series is going to be about, is her matchmaking capabilities and the relationships that evolve from that. Chelsea mentions in there about the stigma behind "ooh, you're with the prisoner," and again, this is why I'm here, for clarification and to make sure that that stigma right there that Chelsea explained is what gets eradicated out of the people's minds, and trying to get the people to understand that just because a person is in prison, right, or a person is not in prison, does not mean that you're not going to be frauded, you're not going to be raped, murdered, manipulated, deceived, lied to, all of these things. So, but the stigma is because that this person is in prison, all of those things are more likely to happen to you. So in the intro, right, we meet Chelsea and we meet the conversation with her and Manuel. And in the beginning, Manuel, is already appearing to me as, again, I don't know if the show is fact or fiction. I know that these relationships are real and they're really connected, but I don't know how much are manipulated through, of course, editing of Big Brother and all of that stuff that they want to do. You already know. So, but already Manuel already seems to me as he already comes across to me as fraudulent. Let me just say that. And him talking about his cakes, him and his fraudulent cakes. Now, again, just in the small little clips that I watched, watching Manuel interact with Chelsea, I noticed he's not really looking into the camera. You know what I mean? It's like he's not really looking at Chelsea. His eyes are always kind of down or shifting around. Even when he says that he loves her, he kind of leans forward, little giggle, whatnot. So to me, it's game. I see the game. It's just game that Mr. Manuel is running. Very easy to spot these dudes, man. So then we cut to the conversation with Mom Dukes and Chelsea, right? Now, this is a serious conversation, and I really appreciate the fact that this conversation was put in the context that it was, because this is a very, very serious conversation. When a parent is hearing that their child is dating someone that's in prison, it's very scary for that parent. Me, myself, being incarcerated, I wouldn't want my daughter to date somebody that was currently in prison. Things happen, and we have to adjust, right? And we have to understand, and we have to adjust. So this conversation between Chelsea and her mother is a very, very important one. And to me, it seemed authentic. Like, the mother seemed very, very authentic in the fact, like, this is very concerning. Chelsea, like, okay, this was one thing that you were matching these people, but now you've gotten involved with one. And mom makes some very, very key points, that everybody should think about before they get into a relationship with somebody that's incarcerated, especially one that's coming home soon. And especially if you're just meeting this person and they're coming home within the next several months. So these are things that are something that really needs to be thought out. It's a difference when an inmate has a year, 2 years, 3 years, where there's a lot of interaction before this person comes home. But when you're meeting this person for the first time, and they come home in 3 or 4 months, and all you're thinking about is the physical aspect of it, because like Chelsea mentioned, these guys got, big muscles or whatever, and they look good, and you're just only thinking about the physical, you're putting yourself and your family in a lot of danger and dangerous situations. So these things are things that have to be thought out, planned about, and really stuck to. And I do appreciate the conversation that went on between Chelsea and her mother. I like Mom Dukes, man. So then now the show moves on to Issa, right? 21 years old, very cute little girl, young woman I should say. My bad, Issa. You looking for love, I understand. She's moving on now. She's coming in. She's had some tough breaks with some relationships or whatnot, but again, she don't see herself dating no prisoner, but yet she fell into it. So this is something again where you're caught by the appeal, the words, the mystique, right? And you're falling. You know what I mean? You're just falling, and you don't know where or how you're gonna fall. But she's consciously falling. You know what I'm saying? If that makes sense. Does that make sense to y'all? So we see we're going through, right, Issa and Devin's little conversation, and we're meeting Issa and Devin. Again, Devin seems like a pretty cool dude. To me, right away, I can sense, that there's some darkness there. There's definitely some issues. So again, right, the mystique, the darkness, the appeal, I get all that, but you always have to remember, that you're dealing with people with issues, probably a lot of mental health, you know what I mean, and deep-rooted issues. So we always have to remember that moving forward, that we're getting involved with people that have issues. So it's not whether they do or they don't, it's they do, and we need to understand what those issues are. And first and foremost is, does this individual understand that they have issues? Now each case is different, of course, but so moving from Issa and Devin, we move on to Bray, 22-year-old Bray, Mr. Photographer, right? Him and his Get Fresh crew. Chelsea's son and his other homeboy, Marion, right, which is the seemed like the most hippest. You know what I'm saying? The most hippest, the most down to earth, it seems, right? Because Bray's naive as a motherfucker, boy, I tell you. And Bray ain't got no idea and no business getting involved with that fast ass girl that he's trying to holler at. But I'm gonna get into Bray. You see what I'm saying? I'm gonna get into Bray. So you got Bray, Marion, and Jacob. Okay. Now, again, I want to point out, right? And I can. It's probably hard on Jacob as he tried to describe like what his mom does and what she's doing. It's probably kind of embarrassing and things because of Marion's reaction. And when you saw Marion's reaction, that's the normal reaction that people give. So again, people like Jacob, people like Chelsea, they're not so much to even speak about the things that are going on. And when Jacob tries to explain it, he tries to explain it in a way that people will understand, which is, man, it's a business. You can make money off it, right? Again, making money off prisoners. You see what I'm saying? So the stigma is still trying to be pushed and kept alive. But here, that's what Thomas FreeMe's for, to try to take away from the stigma and everything that's going on. So, but moving forward, Bray is now entering the conversation with Marion and his friend. Of course, his friend Chelsea's son already knows what the time is, so I guess they're trying to explain it to Marion. And Marion, again, does not understand what the hell is going on. He tells Bray to go take a public speaking class because you're shy, and so on and so forth. So the Get Fresh crew. So then after we meet the Get Fresh crew, right, then we cut to Chelsea meeting with her friend Jonathan. Jonathan seems like a pretty cool dude, and he seems like he's got his head to the ground as well, amongst other things, Mr. Jonathan. But again, a lot of this conversation is built around the physical, and these are mistakes that are being made when entering into relationships with inmates, because those type of relationships are not physical relationships. So you have to get out of the mindset that I'm getting into a physical relationship with somebody. You the hoe. You the hoe. I was pretty good, Jonathan. I give you that one. You the hoe. As the conversation continues with Jonathan and Chelsea, she starts to explain to Jonathan about losing interest or not being able. So the conversation starts revolving around Manuel not reaching out to Chelsea in a couple days. Jonathan quotes it as ghosting, that he's ghosting. Woo woo. How I can explain that situation, being in several of those situations myself, is that, yeah, when we're in there, we're working off survival mode, and we're whatever it is, whatever our agenda is for reaching out to these pen pals, we'll bounce from pen pal to pen pal until we find the one that suits our needs. And amidst that, it's easy for us just to stop writing the person and move on to the next person when they reach out to us through the pen pal site, because we'll get letters coming in all the time. Right? So it's easy for us just to stop writing this other person, but this other person on the other end, which is what another aspect that I love about this show, is because it shows us, Chelsea gives us a real live example of the effect of the other side that we're unprivy to, because we're in a box and we can easily just shut that off, right? So this show gives us a great perspective from that angle. So now we cut back to Issa and her homegirl that they're bringing on. So the show kind of introduces like all these little confidants that each person confides in throughout the show. None of them know anything about prison experience, so all their reactions are all the same. Just like, whoa, what are you doing, man? Like, seriously? Now, what I can say about Issa's friend is she again seems to be pretty intelligent and pretty down to earth and hip to what's going on. So I do dig that. But these are real live concerns of these people that have when they find out about people dating inmates. So here again, as the conversation continues between Issa and her homegirl, some of the concerns of Issa now is starting to come out, right? And she's starting to realize, like, whoa, okay, now I'm really digging this cat, but now these questions are starting to come out. So again, you can see the domino effect already starting to begin from the beginning. It was just done incorrectly. It was done out of appeal versus intelligence. So then we cut to now Bray going to the barber shop with his dad, right? And now letting his dad know about the business that his son has now gotten into. Now, of course, the father, the father seems cool and the father seems hip, but again, he's showing his concern as to, you know what, really honestly, what was good about that scene in the barber shop is it kind of let you know that the dad really wasn't into how square that his son is, because again, I'm a father, so I think my kid is the coolest kid in the world. But are they really? You know what I'm saying? And do we know that? So again, you caught kind of a glimpse that the father really was unaware that his son was so shy in that way, because the dad is telling the son, like, just go to a bar. This is what I used to do. I go to a bar and step to a woman and just say this and that. But that ain't the son, and the father obviously ain't made that connection until maybe this occurred. But I dig the father, how he listened and he allowed life to just occur and responded to life. So again, these are key moments in the show that I'm really digging. We do a quick cut to Issa's diary cam, and again, she's just expressing more feelings for Devin and more concerns that she wasn't thinking about from the beginning, meeting his family now, things of that nature. So we cut to the scene with Chelsea meeting with Bray and his dad, with some of the questions, some of the red flags. I do agree that yes, if somebody is telling you within a couple weeks that they love you, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad or fraudulent, but it does mean that it's obviously not love, but it's an attachment, and that this person is growing a severe attachment for whatever reason, right? Whatever that agenda is. But a lot of times, yes, we will have the urge to tell somebody that we love them because we love what this person is producing within us just in that moment in time. Now, it could spark into an everlasting relationship, or it could just be something fleeting that while I'm going through this tumultuous time that I'm going through, I love the fact that this person is here and how this person is corresponding with me. So the red flag about money, again, yes, but these are constructions that you're supposed to have and know before you're going into these relationships. You know, if I'm willing to send this person money, how much am I willing to send this person each month? You know what I mean? I've had pen pals write to me that would tell me right out of the gate, I'm not sending you money. Do not ask me. When you do ask me, I'll cut off correspondence, blase squaw. So it's setting confines, right, to the relationship that you're getting ready to enter until you feel that you can broaden your horizon some, or however. But it all comes through communication, trust, loyalty, things of that nature. Again, Chelsea gives great advice. You don't want to give too much too soon. Again, the inmate is the one that's in the position to be open about who they are, because the civilian is the one that's putting all of their trust on the line. They're not in prison. The other people are. So the person that's not in prison has a lot more to lose in that moment. So if an inmate's intentions is true, they're going to understand that. So they're going to be the ones to be more open, because it's their trust that has to be earned. If an inmate is trying to get you to be more open than they are, then that is definitely a red flag. So then in the midst of the conversation between Bray and his dad, we go through the matchmaking process, which is pretty cool. So as Bray sitting down, scrolling through these inmates that have their records laid out and pictures and such, and small little videos, and you can go through and select which ones you want. Now Bray makes the same mistake everybody makes, and that's the pretty girl. The pretty girl who looks innocent, that looks like she needs to be saved from a situation. Bray, mistake number one. No more names with "ets" on the end of them. Boy, I think Pops got convinced that he wanted to do it when he was reading and going through them profiles. Boy, Arlette, Boy, you made your nice little profile. Like, I give you daps. Sell 'em, Chelsea. Sell 'em. Hook 'em. So we end up the barbershop scene with Chelsea, you know, getting the dad involved in it and him thinking about getting involved. And like I said, man, the dad is hooked. We cut back to Issa now, meeting Devin's mom. Again, there's a lot of good points in there. Mom Dukes is keeping it real with Issa, which again is much appreciated in the fact that, like, you know, you really have to know what it is that you're doing. This just isn't no fly by night, you know, pretty boy stuff. That, you know, Devin's really got some issues, you know, and you really need to know who he is before you delve into this, because as Mom Dukes is telling her, you know, you're a pretty young girl, you have a good life ahead of you. You know, it takes a lot of work being in a relationship with a prisoner. We cut back to the scene again with Chelsea now. She hasn't heard from Manuel for a little bit. So yeah, Manuel done got him a newbie. You know, he done got him a newbie and he's done moved on. After the scene with Manuel bites the dust, we cut to the Dad Dukes again. And Dad Dukes is saying some really good stuff, man. And again, he's going in it with the expectations that one should have going into a relationship with somebody that's behind bars. So I'm kind of interested to see how Dad Dukes is going to turn out, man. So now we cut to the scene where Dad Dukes confides in his homegirl, Charmaine. And Charmaine is a black woman. Yes, she is. Skeptical of everything. So we get into the end of the episode and we find out for sure that Manuel was a dirtbag, and we find out through Ashley, who schemed her way into a little plot herself. I don't know how keen I am about that. I think Ashley might have been trying to slip in the back door, but you know what I'm saying? You know how these women are too. Right. So, anyhow, Ashley, you know, makes a fake profile, reaches out to Manuel. Manuel responds with his dabbing near ass, thinking he's Manuela. Huh? Okay. Ashley gets the scoop, drops it off to Chelsea. Chelsea confirms that Manuel is a piece of shit. So, again, these are one of the options that you can pursue if you really want to understand and know that the person that you're writing is sincere in what they say. But that needs to be conferred between both parties. It shouldn't be that your homegirl snuck off and done all of this stuff without the other person knowing. That's no bueno. Peace out. Episode 1, Prisoner of Love. Check it out Monday nights.